Today, we examine the Trump administration's inhumane policy of separating children from their parents at the southern border. I use the word inhumane for a reason. Separating children from their mothers and fathers causes damage that may endure for a lifetime. Let me let that sink in. In other words, until they die. The Trump administration adopted this child separation policy intentionally, purposefully, as a tactic to deter people from coming to the United States and seeking asylum. You ask the question, how do you know this? Well, let me answer. On March 7, 2017, the Secretary of Homeland Security, General John Kelly, was asked whether the administration was going to, and I quote, separate the children from their moms and dads. He said, quote, yes. He said to, quote, deter, unquote, additional movement across the border. Later, when he became the White House Chief of Staff, General Kelly confirmed, quote, it could be a tough deterrent, would be a tough deterrent, end of quote. Similarly, when Attorney General Jeff Sessions was asked if separating children was intended as a deterrent, he said, quote, yes, hopefully people will get the message. As many of you know, this is an issue I care deeply about. Last year, while Democrats were in the minority, I begged the Republican leaders of this committee to take action. And when I say beg, I mean beg. I didn't ask. Asking was too cheap. But they refused. I wrote letters seeking information about these children. I spoke up at completely unrelated hearings to warn about the plight of these children, but I was ignored. One Republican, Representative Mark Meadows, agreed to join me in sending a letter seeking documents. I thank him for that and for his cooperation. But the administration ignored our letters, and we never got a single page, not a single word, not a single syllable. I'm sorry to say the Republicans were fine with that during the last Congress. Well, that was their watch, and now this is our watch. And when I say our watch, I'm not just talking about Democrats. I'm talking about all of our watch. And so earlier this year, we issued subpoenas to the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, Health and Human Services. And now we have finally begun to get documents. We just began to get them. Based on these documents, the committee is releasing a staff report today that summarizes this preliminary information. To be clear, the information we have received is not complete. We're still trying to get information. But even with this limited data, we can draw a few key findings. First, the administration's child separations were more harmful, traumatic, and chaotic than previously known. At least 18 infants and toddlers under 2 years old were taken away from their parents at the border and kept apart for up to 6 months. Something's wrong with that picture. At least 241 separated children were kept in Border Patrol facilities longer than the 72 hours permitted by law. And many separated children were kept in government custody far longer than previously known, for more than a year. Second, the Trump administration has not been candid with the American people about its purpose in separating children. The administration claimed that separating children was necessary to prosecute parents, but the documents describe parents who were never sent to federal criminal custody. Other parents were briefly taken into custody, but then returned, likely because prosecutors declined to prosecute or they were sentenced to time served. That did not matter, however, because their children were taken away anyway. In some cases, the documents show that parents were returned to the same facilities they left just hours before, but their children were gone. Imagine that horror. Imagine the horror of a parent coming back hours later and suddenly their children gone. Third, the nightmare of child separation continues. Hundreds of additional children have been separated from their parents since a court ordered an end to the administration's, quote, zero tolerance, unquote, policy more than a year ago. At least 30 children separated under that policy remain separated today, despite the court's order to reunite them with their families or place them with sponsors. And so, overall, the evidence shows that the administration's policies are causing the problems at the border, not helping to resolve them. The administration is detaining thousands of people who do not need to be detained and are not required to be detained. The policies are contributing to massive overcrowding, which is aggravating conditions, draining supplies, endangering the health and safety of both detainees and government personnel. And so I am looking forward to our witnesses today. And today, my hope is that we can agree on several basic points. Anyone in the custody of our government, especially a child, must be treated humanely and with respect. Children should not be separated from their mothers or fathers unless there is a true need for it.